gonna do this, and then I'm gonna do this, and we're gonna take a look at this. I need water. 1 second. Can't code without being properly hydrated. All right, so let's kind of break down what our README wants us to do. So looking through this, I know that I have a server. I already got it started, and I can see it at localhost 3000. JK. Should be there. Oh, sushis. Yep. There we go. There it is. There's our sushis. So if I want to trigger that API, if I want to fetch that API, we'll use this localhost 3000/sushis. On our client side, inside of our Sushi Saga client, we have a couple things going on. Let's take a look. We have inside of here. We have our app.js, which is going to be our most parent component as far as we're concerned. We have a sushi container and a table. A sushi container is a container component and parent to both sushi and the more button. I need to read all the notes of the components before getting started. Okay, cool. So let's take a look at that. I have my app. I see endpoint here. Okay, that's what this API thing is. Cool. And then I see my two components down here. I see sushi container and table. Awesome. Inside here, let's take a look at sushi container. So I see the more button here, and I see the render sushi component here, but I do not see the sushi component imported in. So I'm going to probably have to do that. I also see our components folder. So the more button looks like it's its own component. Currently, it has a on click here that says fill me in, so I'm going to need some event listener. Right now it's set to null so it doesn't break. Cool, very nice of them. And there's sushi. We have an event looking for an on click here, another null, so something with the callback is probably going to go here. This is a ternary where I have to figure out if something's been eaten, I'm going to display this. Else I'm going to display null. So I have to figure out what that ternary is going to be about. Here I have the name of the sushi and the price of the sushi. So this will kind of just be more data from our sushis. Cool. Table. I have this rendered plate function. Not 100% sure what this is about yet. Maybe it's about stacking some plates. Who knows? We'll get there. This looks like how much money we have left in our wallet. Cool. Important to monitor when you're eating sushis. I see. Render takes an array and renders the empty plates from every element in the array. Cool. Okay, so I need an array that has to go here from our render plates, which takes an array. So perhaps I should pass this in an array from state representing the number of eaten sushis. Is my assumption here, something like that. We'll get to this probably last, so we're gonna put a pin in that. Let's check our README again. All right, our deliverables. So there is a picture someplace of what this looks like. Let's take a look at it. I feel like I could have opened this better because this is a file. There we go. All right. Oh, some of the pictures are missing from before, but they're replaced with very cute ones. So it looks like this. We have 4 sushis displayed here, and our money displayed here, and our table here with our more sushi button. If I look into the React app I've started, so far we only have the table, we have this, and then more sushi button here. So we got some stuff to fill out for sure. All right, our deliverables. Hey Gabriel, can you turn off your mic, please? Thank you. So the sushi list here is going to be the first thing we need to get from our server. So I'm going to put little check boxes here because that helps me to remember to do these. Only 4 sushis render at a time. Okay. So I'm going to first take care of these 2 deliverables, and then I'll start coming back to them. So I need my sushi in order to kind of start working with them. So the first thing that comes to mind is I need to get all my sushi from the server. So I need that with a fetch. And I would like that to happen automatically as soon as I load the page. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into app, and I'm going to make use of our component did mount method. Does anyone remember what component did mount does? Is it too early in the morning to remember what this did?
It runs after something's been rendered to the user.
Exactly. So it runs specifically after our component has been rendered to the user for the first time, and then it doesn't run after that. It only runs when it's initially mounted. Cool. I'm going to do this fetch. We're going to pass in API because they gave us this endpoint up here. Very nice. Oh, there we go. Very nice of them. Down here, we're going to do a .then. I'm going to do res.json. And then here, I'm just going to do a .then, and I'm going to console log. So again, you can do this. It's the same as doing data. I just like doing this because it's short and clean, and I'm going to delete it in a second anyways. Let's take a look inside of our console. So I have an array of 100 sushis. Perfect. Now, I'm going to mark that off in my README. Done. Only 4 sushis renders at a time. Now, knowing that I only need 4 sushis at a time, I'm going to cheat a little bit. I'm not going to worry about this more sushi button yet because this is a different deliverable. This is important. I'm going to need this, but I only need 4 sushis at a time. So for my first render, I'm just going to force 4 sushis to appear. And I'm going to do that by creating a special array to hold the 4 sushis I want to appear. So I'm going to need to define state for that, and I'm going to define 2 bits of state. I'm going to define the sushis array. I don't think sushis is an actual word, but we're just going to go with it. And after sushis, I'm going to define 4 sushis. So this one is going to be all my sushis. This is going to be the 4 sushis I want to render. So here, I'm going to take my data, and I am going to set my state, and I'm going to set the sushis array to our data. And then as for our 4 sushis,
make sure you pluralize sushi.
Thank you. I'm going to grab our data. I'm going to call split on it. And I'm going to... Did anyone else use split? I know, in fact, a couple of you did. So what does split do? What does it do? Words. Morning. Hello.
We use slice.
Yeah.
What is the difference between split and slice? Actually, I may have used slice as well. Let's double check. I get the 2 confused all the time. Split and... I think you're right. I think it is splice. JS splice.
We did slice instead of splice because we didn't want it to be destructive.
That makes... Maybe that's what I'm thinking of. But they work essentially the same.
Though.
Yeah. Well, if you're resetting, so here I'm setting the data, so I definitely don't want it to be destructive, since I'm going to take this data and I'm going to set it here, so that's kind of important. But we're going to start with 0 and 4 for our 4 sushi, and then we're going to set this to 4 data. Cool. All right, so Now that we're doing that in my render, I'm going to just console log our state. And we need this in front of that. Cool. Looks like our state has set with our 100 sushis and our 4 sushis array. You can see the component to mount working because this was the initial render, and then this is the component to mount running after the initial render, causing the second render. Awesome. So now that I have my sushis, I'm going to take that and I'm going to pass it down to my sushi container. So I'm going to do sushi state. And I'm going to pass my entire, well, no, let's break it up. I'll be good about this. We're going to pass sushis in this state sushis. If I'm going too fast, let me know. If you need me to explain anything, just tell me. And then I'm going to pass 4 sushis in this state 4 sushis. Sushis. Cool. You know what? I actually don't think I need this one yet. Let's just pass down the 4 sushis right now. Alright, so from there, inside of our sushi container, we will now have access to 4 sushis in props. I need to require in our sushi component. Components / sushi. Because this is where that is stored, looks like. Cool. I'm going to copy this. I'm going to remove our handy dandy note.
You need an extra dot in front of the components.
Thank you.
And 3.
There you go. And then here I will pass, we'll call it current sushis. All right. We are going to need to pass a single sushi here. Now, I have an array of sushis. What do I need to do in order to pass 1 sushi at a time?
Map over it.
Exactly. So we'll go props.sushi. What did I name it? For sushi. Dot map. And I'm going to define a variable sushi item to help keep it from being less confusing. I'm going to take our sushi component. I'm going to render it inside of here. I'm going to pass sushi our sushi item, and I'm going to give it a key of the sushi item ID. All right. Looks like we are now rendering our sushi component. It's angry about our comment. That's fine. We will fix that now. Okay. Sushi. What is up?
On line 10, we're passing in sushi item, but oh, darn it. Never mind. Okay, never mind.
Okay. All right. So inside of here, we are going to need to, let's go ahead and get rid of this for right now. And then this is where our sushi item is going to go. So I'm going to do props.sushi. I'm going to double check my data because I don't remember what image URL is under. Looks like it's just image URL. Perfect. Image URL. And then I'm going to do the same thing for props.sushi.name and props.sushi.price. All right, we have our sushis. Yeah. So it looks like our sushis are displaying to the screen. Awesome. I have these 4. I'm pretty happy with that. Cool. Now, I think I need to do this more sushi button. That seems to be the next thing on my deliverables, if I remember. Let's go ahead and take this one off. Goodbye. Clicking the more sushi button shows the next 4 set of sushis on the list. So, for this assignment, I don't have to worry about what happens when I reach the end of the sushi list. That works for me. I won't care about that. So let's go ahead and think about this. I have right here my 4 data sushi, and I have my sushi array. If I have an array of items, I'm going to comment this out and do some thinking. So if I have an array of items, 1, 2, 3, let's actually do a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. If I have an array of items and I only want to slice the first 4, I can use data.slice or .slice to grab the first index and the index that I want to slice between. This will give me 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, if I want to slice the next 4 ones, thinking about how .slice works, the first parameter being the area of the array I need to start at, the second parameter being the end of the area of the array I end my slice at, then I am going to need to track where I am in my array while I'm slicing. So I'm going to need something in order to kind of hold this place for me, hold this index so I know that this is the last place I left off when I was slicing through my array. And I'm going to utilize that by creating a sushi index number. I'm going to start this at 0. This might cause a problem a little later, and we'll look into why. And I'm going to use this to, in place of my 0, in order to move my sushi array. Now, my component amount fetch, this is just here. This is only going to run once, so I want to create a method that will run when I click that button. So I'm going to create a for more sushi button. Leave my comment down here. This for more sushi needs to get passed down, so before I do anything, I'm going to give it a argument of sushi and pass it down. I'll console log it to make sure I'm triggering it. I'll take for more sushi, and my sushi button is in my sushi container, so I'm going to pass it down here. And inside my sushi container, I'm going to go to my sushi button, my more button, and I'm going to pass it props dot. I'm going to set the key first for more sushi, and then pass props dot for more sushi. Inside of my sushi more button right here, I am now going to fill this in with the variable that I want. So on click, we are going to run props dot for more sushi. And let's see what happens when we trigger that. It looks like we got an event. Awesome. That's what we wanted. Cool. Now that I've triggered that, I'm going to go back up to app. Normally I'd want to remove this. I don't really need to pass anything else in. It's cleaner for me to remove it though. I'm going to do a handle click here. And I'm going to copy this here, invoke it there, and then when I call my handle click, it should still work. Cool. Now, we're not passing the event here, but we really don't need the event for this. We just need this to trigger this for more sushi method that we have in app. So up here, I don't need sushi. All I need to do is change the current sushi that I have. So our for sushi index, I need this to update to more sushi. So I'm going to take this dot state dot sushis, I'm going to slice our sushis at our sushi index, and I'm going to slice it until we get to our sushi index plus 4. So what this does is this will only slice based off where we are in our array. So from here, I'm going to set the state. I'm going to set our state of our 4 sushi to our new sushi data. So I'm going to have this equal updated for sushi. I'm going to pass that here. And then when we do this, we're going to need to increase our sushi index. So when we increase our sushi index, we can just add 4 every time so that we are now pointing at our new area of the array. So when we do our initial render, we are here, right? When we click our 4 more sushi, what is really happening is it's doing dot slice at 4 to 8. And then we are grabbing 5, 6, 7, 8. And so I need to make sure I'm updating every time this gets clicked to my new index. So that means here, I'm just going to do our sushi index equals, colon, this dot state dot sushi index plus 4. That's sushi, it's not sushi index. And that should update our state. Let's see.
Question.
Yes.
As far as best practices, wait, first can I look at sushi container one more time?
Yeah, I misspelled sushi index someplace, so I need to make sure I get that spelled right. 1 second, I'll look at sushi container. Okay.
So when we did it, and maybe this was kind of cheating, but we changed our sushi container to a class component. And then we defined a little bit of state for the sushi container to hold the sushi index. Is there like a sort of a best practice to do it this other way as well?
So I don't think that what you did was wrong. I think that you got it working, and I think that's a creative solution. The reason that I'm doing this here is because my sushi, I think that would work mainly because you don't necessarily need sushi index anywhere else. For me, I'm storing 4 sushi up here and I'm storing sushis up here. So because I'm storing 4 sushis here and I'm not storing it in a lower container, I want my sushi index up here. So if you stored both your like smaller container or you were just using the sushi index in your sushi container as you looped through to tell yourself where to stop, I think that's fine. It just depends on like what you did with the rest of your application. There are 100 ways to do this, and as long as you're following specific conventions based off of like whether or not something is going to be efficient for the way you coded this, that's fine. So like I said, it just depends what you did. I put 4 sushis up here. That the way that I'm doing this, I require this to be here, and so it's best practice for this index to be here. If you pass the entire sushi array down to sushi container, and you use the index to kind of tell yourself where to stop mapping, this would be the best place to keep that index then. Cool? Cool.
Thanks.
Yeah. Awesome. All right, so let's see. I think I was getting an error because I need this to be this dot state dot sushi index. There we go. Awesome. Let's see what happens when we hit more sushi. Well, the first click didn't seem to work, but the rest of them did. Why is my first click not working? Does anyone know?
Exactly where I got stuck with this part.
You said something about it being 0 might be a problem in the future, right?
I did. So here we set the for sushi to data.slice. So let's go ahead and console log what's going on every time I hit this. This dot state dot for sushi. When we console log, we can see that this is actually working. And what's happening when we do it a second time is the first time that it went through, because this is before we set our state, is showing the same thing. So because we set our for data sushi when we initially rendered, our sushi index should start at where this ended, because we are essentially, we rendered this, but when we hit the more sushi button, we're saying render this again. So it's not that it's not working, it's working great, it's just we are telling it to start at the same place that we already were when we did the initial render. So this, instead of being 0, needs to be 4. And that did it. Show you again. Doop. Yeah, that is a gotcha that happens a lot on here. Just because the initial render, it's easy to forget that you're already doing this. And so with it already working, you just have to make sure that you are starting at the correct place when you hit this button. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Cool. All right. So we got our more sushi button. Let's check our README and see what's going on. Awesome. We got that. So clicking on a plate will eat the sushi, causing it to be removed from its plate. An empty plate will appear on the table. Okay. So this is a very interesting one, and there are several ways to do this. And I will show you the way that I choose to do it. I think that John did it a different way. I think other John did it a different way. But there's a couple different ways to do this. So if you did not do it the same way that I did it, it's okay. As long as you got it to work, that's the important thing. And we can talk a little bit about the efficiency if you want a little later. So for my data, I know that my data has no property to indicate whether or not my sushi has been eaten. So what I want to do is I want to add a property to my sushi is eaten. I don't want to delete my sushi completely. I just want to know if I ate it or not, because I would like my plates to still appear here on the screen, even when my sushi's been eaten. So I am going to think a little bit about this. When I go to my sushi container, they gave me a bit of a hint here. If something is false, render null, else render this image. So if my sushi has a property of is eaten, and that is equal to true or false, I can cause nothing to be rendered or my image to be rendered. So what that means is I am going to need to add that property somehow. And the way that I'm going to add it is through a click handler, this one that they gave us here. This will both eat my sushi and add the property is eaten to my sushis when it does it. So I'm going to replace this with a handle click. I'm going to find my handle click up here. Since this is a class, I'm going to do const handle click. And now I'm going to pass this a sushi. I'm going to pass it the sushi that we are iterating through in the specific sushi component. So I'm going to pass it props.sushi. Why are you mad at me? Oh, wait, no. Sorry, not props.sushi, sushi, and then I did pass it down here. Okay. Again, tired, sorry. I'm going to make a update. Let's do it eat sushi. And then I'm going to call it here. And we will pass it down from app. So this is going to need to be in props. And that's where I pass my sushi. There we go. Cool. And this will be props.sushi. So I haven't created this yet. So I'm going to go step by step up until I get back to app, where I'm going to define this. So inside of sushi, I know my sushis is going to need that, so I'm going to define this here and set this in my props. From here, I'm going to hop back up to app and then actually define it. This will take our sushi. For right now, I'm going to console log our sushi. I'm going to take eat sushi, and I'm going to pass it to our sushi container. Now, I did this backwards, and it doesn't matter if you do this backwards or forwards. I just wanted to try showing you how you can logic out where this needs to go by walking backwards. Normally, I like going just forward and going to where I need to pass the data down. But if you're at your component and you're not sure where your data needs to come from, just walk your way back up until you find your state and then to start passing that down. So I defined eat sushi here. Let's go ahead and click on here and see what happens. Looks like we got our sushi passed down. Woo! Okay. Now that we have our sushi, this comes the hard part. We need to update our sushi. So when I eat my sushi, I'm going to create a variable called let updated sushi equal this.state.sushis, and I'm going to map through my sushis. I'm going to define a sushi item, and I'm going to set if my sushi.id is equal to my sushi item.id, or sorry, sushi ID. So if the item in my map that I am on is identical to this sushi ID, I was right in the first place, sorry. If these two match, this one from here and this one from here, if these match, then I know that I'm on the same sushi. If I know that I'm on the same sushi, then I am going to add something to my sushi. I'm going to put a ternary. I'm going to say ... I'm going to take my sushi item, stole this from Aiden from the other day, and I'm going to copy that item, and I'm going to say is eaten, and I'm going to set it to true. Else, I'm going to return my sushi item. Where am I at? I think this one doesn't need to be here, yeah. So, what is this doing exactly? This is mapping through our sushi. When it finds the matching ID, it is going to copy the existing sushi item. It is going to add an is eaten to the sushi item and set it to true. If it's not this match, it's going to just return the sushi item. That doesn't need to be changed. So, is there anything about this line that does not make sense? This is a bit of a line. It's very efficient and it's very pretty and I like it. But if it doesn't make sense, let's talk about it.
Ix, I have a question on line 31 here. We're passing in sushi as the argument. Where is that coming from?
So this is, we defined sushi all the way down here, right? Or we called it all the way down here, right? This was when I worked my way back up from here. So eat sushi is being passed sushi, props.sushi when we click on the sushi.
Okay, props. Oh, and props.sushi is on the top level, and that's our array of all the sushi.
No, props.sushi is our single sushi. So let's take a step back here. Let me comment this out again. What is happening? So we'll go the top down this time. I defined eat sushi in app, and I am going to pass it as sushi, and for right now I'm going to console log that sushi. I passed eat sushi down to sushi container right here. And from here, in sushi container, I pass down eat sushi to the individual sushi components right here. And from here, inside of sushi, I called eat sushi and I passed it props.sushi. So our individual sushi from our sushi container that is passed here is now being passed to our eat sushi as well as rendering on the page. This only gets triggered if this handle click is triggered. So if I click this handle click, it will trigger this handle click here, which calls eat sushi and passes in our sushi from our sushi container that we pass down here. And it triggers our eat sushi method defined in app. So if we do this now, we console log the sushi that we passed in way down in the sushi component. Does that make sense now?
Yeah, definitely. I lost track of it along that path, but I think it makes sense now.
It's really easy to lose track of it. What I would highly recommend doing during the code challenge or during your practice code challenge is definitely draw out your component tree and then trace your way up and down with your picture of where you are in your state and like where things need to go. So like, what I like to do, I really wish I had a whiteboard to show you all, is I'll do something like here. I know that I'm gonna have an app, and then I'm gonna have my sushi container, and then I'm gonna have my more button. I'm gonna have sushis, and then I'm gonna have table over here. And then I normally draw like some lines, normally arrows, like this. I know that this is gonna need something. This is gonna need something. I probably want this to be bigger, actually. Can I erase this? Nope. Okay, well, it is what it is. And then this one, I'll have some stuff go from here. And then what I normally write in is, I know that this is app. I know the state that needs to be in here is going to be all sushis, all my sushis. I know that I'm going to need my 4 sushi. I know I'm going to need my index. And I think I'm going to need something else, but we'll talk about that a little bit later. And I know I have a couple methods that I need to define up here. I know I'm going to have my, for example, eat sushi here, because this needs to update my all sushi and 4 sushi. So I might draw something like this in a different color to indicate that I need to update this, updates all sushi. And it will eventually also update 4 sushi, but we'll talk about that in a second. Now, I need to pass this down. So I am going to use a different color to signify to myself that I need to take this all sushi. I need to pass this down to my sushi container. And from my sushi container, it needs to go to my sushis. I would normally like have this be a note saying this is sushi container. No, and then that's probably not how you spell container. And then this is sushi. So, knowing that my data, my eat sushi is defined down here, I'll probably type eat sushi here. And then when this gets triggered, I know that my data needs to go back up. So using the same color to indicate that I am going to use the same method, I'm going to take an arrow to, well, can I have a darker color? Probably not. No, okay. I'm going to draw an arrow going back up, signifying that this method not only gets passed down, but also passes data back up. And inside of my eat sushi, I might even define what data I need to pass up, which is, can I click this again? No? Or, nope. Oh, annotate. You can be so much better than you actually are. There we go. And then text. So, sushi. Let's change color back to blue. Eat sushi, and then I'm going to pass it a single sushi. Close this right now so you can see it. And close this. So something like this is what I would write on a whiteboard or a piece of paper to kind of start tracking of like, what am I doing with my state? Where is it going? Where does it have to go? Does that make sense?
Yes, thanks.
Cool. All right, and then I'll go and get rid of this now. Clear all my drawings. Goodbye.
Alex,
Yeah.
is there any way you could like show us or publish a like a professional, not professional, but like an example of that for a larger app, or just like a more comprehensive example of that for a smaller app at some point?
Like with every single, yeah, I can totally do that.
That would be really helpful.
There's also like tons of pictures of these online. So if you type in React component tree, you can like find something like that. But I can totally, it will take me a second to draw it up since I have to draw with a mouse pad. But I will try to do one by end of day today and send it out to y'all. Sound good?
That would be great. Thank you. I'd love the option where I don't have to do the Googling or the work. That would be perfect.
I mean, all right. I gotcha. All right. So
Thank you very much. That would be really great, actually.
All right. Okay. So to come back, clicking on our sushi, having this, we know that we're triggering that in our update sushi here. So let's go ahead and bring this back and see if I did anything wrong in here. Coming back to this, is there anything about this map that doesn't make sense? Just to go over it one more time, we are mapping through sushis, all of our sushis. We are saying if the sushi I passed in, if it has a matching ID to the sushi I'm currently iterating on, then I'm going to replace that entire sushi and I'm going to change the property of is eaten to true. And then if it's not, I'm just going to return the original sushi because nothing needs to be changed about it. Does this line make sense?
Yes, it makes sense, but I'm just confused about what's is eaten again.
Is eaten is whether or not we clicked on the sushi and we ate it. So inside of our README, we have a deliverable that says clicking on a plate will eat the sushi, causing it to be removed from its plate and having an empty plate appear on the table. So what this means is that when I click on a sushi, I need it to disappear. So I added a property of is eaten to signify that I have clicked and eaten that sushi. I'm going to do something with this in a little bit more that will make it make a little bit more sense. But this is basically so I can tell later on which sushis have been eaten and which ones haven't. Does that make sense?
Yes, thank you.
Dope. Cool. All right. So that being said, now closing this.
Except I have a quick question.
Yeah.
Where you go sushi.id equals sushi item.id, why? I just don't get like why that's necessary, I guess. Can you maybe elaborate on that part?
So this is a map and we're saying I'm going to look for, so what this is doing is this is the same as if we did sushi.map and we did sushi item and we opened this and we basically said if, let me go ahead and make sure I'm commenting this out.
So I guess my question though is like, isn't it a given that the sushi that you're clicking on has the ID that you're looking for?
The sushi that you're clicking on does have the ID you're looking for. We're looking for the sushi ID inside of our sushi array from sushis, from our full sushis with all of our sushis. The sushi that we're clicking on has the ID. We need to compare that with the sushis coming from our sushis array. So this sushi is the individual sushi. What we are mapping through is this.state.all sushis. So this is our 100 sushis.
Yeah, I think I get what you're doing now. So this is like primarily meant to communicate with the database to add
this isn't
the is eaten attribute.
This isn't the database. This is our state. So this is communicating with the state. So this is looking at our all sushis array. This is looking at the hundreds of sushis that we put in state, and it's looking for the individual sushi that we clicked on. So it's looking for this sushi specifically that we clicked on,
right,
but its current place in the all sushi array.
Right. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay, cool.
AX,
Yeah.
Updated sushis have an extra H.
Cool.
Sushi.
Makes sense. Sushi. There it is. Okay. Anything else about this that does not make sense? Okay. So I'll go ahead and console log this and show you what this actually ends up looking like. That might make it click a little bit more. We're going to need to click on this. So now we have our 100 sushis. I clicked on the 4th sushi, which is right here, with the ID of 4. And now this has a ID or an attribute of is eaten is true, versus 2, which I didn't click on, so I did not add is eaten. Does seeing it like this make a little bit more sense? Because we are accessing this entire array, and then we're updating the item in that array.
Yeah, that helps a lot.
Okay, cool. Awesome. So we're going to update that. Now, technically, I could have just updated the 4 sushis, but I want to update both because I may want to, I know our deliverables didn't have it, but like I kind of like the idea of being able to map through this if I wanted to. So the other thing I need to update is our 4 sushis, because our 4 sushis is what's being passed down to display on the screen. So I'm going to do update 4 sushis. And this is going to equal this dot state dot 4 sushis dot map. And this is actually going to be the exact same thing that we have here. So I'm just going to copy this and put this here. So this is updating both of the arrays.
This is how the sushi is being eaten is going to stick?
Yeah. So this is because we are passing down the 4 sushis array, not the all sushis. I just want to update them both. Okay. There's also a cleaner way to have done this, but I think this is more readable. So inside of here, I'm not going to update my state. This dot set state. And I'm going to take our, I'm going to target our all sushis, our sushis. I keep seeing this being misspelled, and I think I spelled sushis wrong, which, I mean, I don't think sushi is a word, but still, it matches. And I'm going to pass sushis our updated sushis. And then I'm also going to update our 4 sushis. I'm going to pass this our updated sushi, 4 sushis. So this will reset the state. This will cause the re-render. And so that I make sure I spell things right. There we go. When we click on this now. All right, cool. So that's there. This is not being updated like it should. So let me try to see what's going on. Updated sushi, updated 4 sushis. This star states to 4 sushis.map. Let's console log it. Make sure I'm doing what I think I'm doing. Click this. There are my 4 sushis. And then let's see here. Is eaten is true. Huh. So it looks like that is right. So my bug's not down here. Let's go ahead and walk step by step until I figure out where my bug is. This is acting as I expected to, exactly as I expected to. So I know for a fact that my bug is not here. It's hard to not want to stay here because I feel like my bug is here, but I just confirmed that it wasn't. So let's step through this and find where it is. All right, so Eat Sushis gets passed down here into our sushi container. So inside our sushi container, let's go ahead and check out our props. You can also check this in the dev tools, but I'm going to do this step by step to kind of drill in a point. So we hit our all sushis. We have our 4 sushis in our 4 sushis container. And if I look at 4 sushis, I forgot which one I clicked on. So I think that was this one. So is eaten is true is being passed down correctly through the sushi I clicked on. So I know that my data from Eat Sushi is not only updating correctly, it's being passed down to sushi container correctly. Okay, so my bug is not here. Let's go to the next level. The next level is sushis. So from here, I'm going to go ahead and console log my props up here. Again, you could check out the dev tools, but again, I'm trying to drill in a point here. All right, when I click my sushi, and I think it was this one, looks like I have, there's my sushi. Is eaten is true. Double check my other sushis. Let's see, let's check out this one. Check this one. Looks like this doesn't have the is eaten attribute. So I now know that my Eat Sushi is working. It's being passed down to sushi container correctly. It's being passed down to sushis correctly. So then my bug is even further inside of sushis. I know that I'm not passing anything else down. So let's check to see where this is being rendered. So down here, this is where our image is being rendered. And now I can see what's happening. I have this ternary, and this ternary will render false if my condition is true. And then I have this image that will render if it is false. So I have is eaten, and I can now take my property props.sushi.isEaten. If this is equal to true, then I will render nothing. If this is false or this does not exist, then I will render my image. And now it's gone. Does anything about what I just did specifically right here or that debugging process not make sense? Does everyone understand what this line is doing?
Yes.
Cool.
Yep.
Cool. Okay, let's see. What time is it? All right. We have a little bit more time to get through some of these. Let's go ahead and get through the money. So we need to make money whenever a sushi is eaten. The customer should be automatically charged based on a budget decided by you, the developer. The amount of money remaining should go down by the cost of the sushi that was eaten. And there is a spot to display the number on the table. Okay, cool. So we will go again here. No free meals. A customer cannot eat any sushi that exceeds the amount of money remaining in their balance. So this sounds like something I can get done at the same time. I'm gonna save this. All right. So this told me that the amount of money is decided by me. How much do people normally spend on sushi? I haven't gone out to sushi since March, and I've never Uber Eats sushi, so what's your average sushi price, you think?
$45.
Ready and willing.
Baller.
Damn.
A fun fact about me, when one of my replies, or my silly reply to my why when I was learning coding was I only just want to have enough money to go to a sushi belt restaurant and not worry about the color of my plate. That was my only financial goal.
one of my friends had a similar one. For him, it was, I want to make enough money to be able to eat out every day if I want to, for every meal.
That's fair. Are sushi like belt places even around anymore? Like I don't see them like since like Blue Sea Sushi got shut down.
There's one on
Blue Sushi, right?
Yeah, something like
there's
that.
one on Broadway on Cap Hill.
Oh, we should check that out. One day.
Stop, I think.
Yeah, one day when I can go outside again. Cool. I'll keep that in mind. Thank you. All right, so here's our wallet. Our wallet number is being displayed, I think, on table. Let's go see. Yeah, so our wallet needs to be passed down to table, so it displays here. So let's go ahead and do that. So I'm going to go to table. I'm going to have our wallet equals this.state.wallet. And inside our table, we are just going to render, let's see, is this a class or a functional? It's functional. So I'm going to do props.wallet. We should see our $45. Perfect. Okay, so we got that. Now we are going to need to update that every time we eat a sushi. Luckily, we have this handy dandy eat sushi method that's already updating state for us. Let's go ahead and utilize this to update our sushi, our wallet. So we're going to let new, we'll go ahead and grab our wallet here. And we will have this equal this.state.wallet minus our sushi.price. And now it's updating. Awesome. But now I'm going into debt because I need to eat that really cute piece of sushi. Probably shouldn't do that. So I need something to tell me if my sushi price is, or if I cannot eat that sushi. So what I'm going to do is I can't exactly do this here. I can't do this logic here because if I do, then I'm never going to be able, well, I can do this logic here, but I have to add something. I have to do something to signify if I can actually eat a sushi or not. So I need to go down to our sushi's container, to our sushi's component. When I eat a sushi, I need to check to see if our money is greater than or less than our money minus the sushi, or our sushi's price. So I'm going to need to pass down my wallet here. So from app to sushi container, I'm going to grab my wallet, this, and then pass this.state.wallet, go to sushi container, pass this down to the individual sushi. Oh, why does it do this? And this needs to be props, not this .state. Prop. There you go. And then inside of sushi, I'm going to check my props dot wallet, and I'm going to say if my props dot wallet is less than my props dot sushi dot price, then I'm going to update our eat sushi. So I'm going to eat my sushi. Else, I'm going to send an alert that says, sorry, you cannot afford that sushi. Okay. I cannot afford the sushi. Well, technically I can afford the sushi, I just will be out of money, but, so, less than equal to. There we go. And now I can eat that. Perfect. So now I will not go into debt because I want to eat this delicious, delicious sushi. Does this make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So let's go ahead and click that off on our README. I think we're a little bit past where I wanted to be for time, but we finished all of these main ones. So this is all done. I'll talk a little bit about how I would have done the plates. Actually, I could probably implement that super fast. So the thing about the plates is the plates have this render plates method that takes an array, and then this does the math for you for rendering your plates, and it's being called here. So what I want to do is I want to pass this an array of my eaten sushi. And the way that I'm going to do that is I'm going to define my plates here. Plate. I'm going to put an empty array here. And every time I eat the sushi, I'm going to update my plates. I'm going to make a copy of the current plates. And we're going to add the current sushi that I'm on. And then I'm going to pass my plates down to my table. And then on my table, I'm going to pass my render plates the props.plates. And then let's double check that this is what I think it is. Array. And did my plate get to go down? Let's see. Undefined. It did not. Alright. This dot state dot plates. This dot props. Oh no, I'm fine. This dot state dot plates. This, I was on the right thing. Okay. Why is this? Because this is plate. Let me make sure this is correctly double here. And then here, my array is plates. There we go. And now they appear on the table. I was just doing the wrong pluralization. But that is the last one.
Can you go through that last one more time, Ix?
I was trying to go through it fast, so if you didn't catch it, that's probably why, but I'll talk about it again.
Okay.
So I define plates in state. If you don't want to stick around for this, feel free to leave. I don't want to take up any more of your time from doing labs. But if you want to talk about this, hang out with me. So I created our plates, and I put an array here. So the reason I did this is because in tables, they gave us an existing function that renders the plates, and it took an array. So this will render our empty plates, and I know that I'm going to need to pass it an array. So I could change this to be any number of things. I would have personally written this differently, but this is what I have. This is what they're asking me to use. So I'm going to need to pass this an array. So every time I eat a sushi, I'm going to take my sushi and I'm going to make a copy of state and add in the sushi that I ate. So that's what I'm doing right here. Our plates is going to equal an array that we spread out the current state of plates. So the current plates that exist, we spread that out into this array, and then we add the sushi that we just ate to this array. When this gets updated, the plates are passed into table with this dot state dot plates, and from table we pass props dot plates into render plates, and render plates takes our array, it maps through it, and it will create a div with our empty plate, and it will render it in the place of where this render plates is.
Thank you.
Cool.
So Ix, like if we scroll up a little bit here where it's taking the array and mapping, we're not modifying anything in the array. We're just basically every instance of whatever in the array, it renders a plate, right?
Exactly. The thing that's here, the styles, is just so that it looks like it does where it is stacking. That's just a CSS property. But this isn't changing anything. This is just taking your array, and then this is rendering based off of actually the number of things in the array. So like I used an array because that's what they wanted. I would have done this with a loop, and I would have just passed it down like an integer, the number of plates that we had. Or I would have just passed it down like maybe our entire array and found how many like empty plates that we did. But this is what they used. This is what they asked us to use. So I'm utilizing their code, and we'll complain about it in stand-up later. So, you know. Probably, not really, but like if I was working with other people, like I would talk about like how I felt about this function and that like I used it but I didn't like it and can I change it later. But anyways, yeah, that's what this is doing.
Cool.
Cool.
I have a question. There's a couple of places like where we're putting things, like the places where we're putting things into arrays. In my code, I use .concat to get values into arrays.
As long as you made a copy of that array some way, shape, or form, then that's fine.
Yeah. .concat does that. It doesn't change the original.
Nice. Then yeah, that's perfect. Use it.
Word.
All right. Anything else? All right. Does sushi make a little bit more sense now, at least?
For sure.
All right. Cool. I'm going to stop sharing. I'm going to stop this video, and I'm going to make some breakout rooms for y'all.